Hello everyone. Yeah, yes, you can start the session.
Okay. So I will post a link again all for all the new joinees. Here is a link. You can go to this link. This is a link to my repository, which contains the application which we'll be discussing today. Okay, it contains all the respected UI files and all the functionalities inbuilt. Okay, so we'll be focusing on the code and we'll be understanding like what's written into that code, right? So you can just clone this and we'll proceed. So as soon as you're done, just let me know or send a thumbs up when you're done cloning it. Okay, why my antivirus cancels some pub get file? Shubham, which antivirus you're using, and if you're using, then you can disable it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Technically, what happens is when you are trying to, get your packages. Okay. So there's a particular .pub cache directory which gets maintained inside your app data. Okay. And app data is a temporary data which just stays, right? So sometimes antiviruses like you mentioned, quick heal. So they try to block that import because that third party application is requesting some file from the internet. So that looks like an issue for the antiviruses. So that's why they do that. So you can ignore that if you are pretty sure like which antivirus or like which software you're dealing with. Okay, so in your case, the software actually trying to call it is Flutter's own daemon. Okay, so you trust that, right? It's totally fine to actually go and experiment with Flutter. So you can ignore that and you can go on by disabling it. Anyways, so this is the link again. Go over to this link, clone the repository into your local machine, and we'll be discussing the code side by side. And as soon as you are done, let me know. Okay, Lailesh is done. Falak is done. One, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, Mritul is done. Okay. One, two, three, four. Anyway, so what we are going to create today is called movie. It's a movie application. Okay. So I will just project my screen. Cool. So you might have cloned it, and Cool. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 8 people are done. So when you're going to clone it, you are going to see something similar to this, like exactly identical to this. Okay. So we have this lib folder. Inside lib folder, we have an source folder which contains all the source files, the code files. Okay. And we have something called block. Okay. And then we already discussed what models are. So we created our own model previously multiple times. Okay. So, and there is another folder called resources, which contains knowledge about our API, all the files regarding our API. Okay, we have a file called repository, and then all the other screens are present inside this UI. Okay, so I have a movie, and I have something called onboarding, which contains the splash.dart file, right? Inside utils, I have routes and I have constants, which I want to be reused again and again. So that's why I put them inside this as constants and as routes. Okay. Inside widgets, I have few widgets which I'll be reusing again and again. So instead of writing them into the particular Dart file, I write them outside inside a widgets directory so that I can reuse them again and again. Okay. And app.dart file is the basic material app where I'm assigning it. And right after that, I'm just moving forward. Okay. Then I have a main.dart file which contains the code in my which contains the main function for my Dart file, right? Okay. So all are comfortable? We are going to now ponder upon like what we have done and what we'll be discussing in today's session. Okay, so we already discussed what streams are, right? So we discussed what streams are, and now we're going to discuss something called block. So block is a Dart package, okay, and block basically stands for business logic for your code, right? So what we'll be dealing with. So what happens when you are getting some data from a particular API? Okay, you are getting some data, and you want to use that data in an intelligent manner. You want some accessibility to get that data and use for your model classes. And when you get data from an API, you want it to be passed to your model classes and the parameters to the properties of that class, and you can use and reuse them. Okay, so a block technically does that, and we call it a state management package. Okay, because it allows us to manage states of different widgets we create, we build, and it has multiple functionalities related to that. Okay, so this package technically works for all these like Flutter block, Angular block, block test, iterator block, replay block, right? So block entirely works on the concept of streams. Okay, so I get some streams, and block actually helps me control the stream controller and helps other widgets to consume the data, okay, received from the API response. All right. So it is just a middleware which acts between your API and your model classes, the parameters, the properties of your model class, and you can reuse them intelligently. So is this clear? Like in short, what block is? Cool. So that's what block is, and this entire combination, or this entire thing, what we are doing currently, we are doing with streams. We are using them, we are consuming them, we are subscribing them, we are closing them, we are disposing them, and we have block to actually manage this up. So this entire thing, what we are doing currently, is called reactive programming. Okay. So we are going to see our demo of all of this. But before we go in there, we need to discuss few more things. Okay, this is my pubsec.yaml file where I have all the packages. So you can see I have block package already imported. I have my HTTP package like we discussed previously. I have RxStart, which allows me to manage my states and control all the streams with help of block, right? I have connectivity, which lets me know about my internet connectivity. I have an animation package, which is called page transition. So when I transition between pages, this package actually allows me to do that. Okay. But actually, there are multiple packages available. You have Get It, you have Provider. So all these packages are used depending upon what kind of application you are creating. Okay. So if you people can do the exactly same thing they can do with Provider, they can do with GetX, they can do with Block. Okay, it's just about the usability and readability of and the ease with which you can use things. So some people use getx because the getx is very easy for them, and block is also easy for certain kind of developers. So it totally depends upon which kind of package, which kind of state management you want to use. Okay, it totally see when you're going to look at the way you are calling your block and you're consuming your getx or you're using get it. There are different kind of packages, right? So you can just go over to a documentation, okay, you can look at the documentation. You can actually find which one will be easier to use, right? So if I go like here, I go inside my example. So you can see I have all the events created. I have on change inside that. I am just using my block. So here they have taken an example of qubit, okay, and they have just taken and they're updating the states of something. You can look at this code, and if it looks easier to you, then you can absolutely proceed this one, or you can go and search for get it. Okay, so get it, sorry, get x. Okay, so you have provider like this. So this provides you all the tools required for reactive programming. So there are different approaches and there are different use cases. You can just ponder upon them. Whatever you find easier, you can just go with that. Okay, they do technically the same work. All right, cool. So likewise, I have a page transition, which allows me to actually play with the animations which occur when I switch from one page to another. I have cache network images, which just waits for my image to be, when you're fetching some image from internet. So it just fetches in a very intelligent manner and allows you to use that, right? It caches the images like the name suggests. I have Flutter Spin Kit, which allows me to actually get some animations. If I go over here and type Flutter Spin Kit, so when it's a loading indicator library, which gives me these many loaders, which I can use, right? Okay, so you can use this to get fancy loaders like this. Okay, then I have paging. Paging will discuss what actually paging is. I have INTL, which is an internationalization library. Okay, package, and we have splash screen. Splash screen gives us the functionality to actually attach a splash screen to our application. Okay, I have Flutter Toast. So Toast, you know what are Toast in Android or in any native platform you are working with. Toast are uh, semi-transparent messages which just arrive on into your screen. No matter if you switch the application, that thing will still arrive. Okay, so these are toasts, and toasts just come and go in like 1 to 2 seconds or 3 to 4 seconds. You can define the duration for that. So toasts are actually independent of the application. Even if you just switch the application, toasts are still going to occur. Okay, so that's like the best possible use of toast, because toast guarantee that your information will be conveyed. Okay, so rest all the things are the same. So I have used some fonts, and you can go over here inside assets. I have a folder called fonts. Inside fonts, I have two fonts. One is impact, second is Montserrat. Okay, so if you want to use some different font, then you have to actually index them into your PubSec YAML file under the fonts category, and you have to write the font family, and you then have to actually give the path of that particular TTF file. Okay, so this is my TTF file inside my assets, inside my fonts, and the name of it is Montserrat Medium. Okay, similarly, I have another family that is impact. So impact is inside my assets fonts and impact.ttf. Okay, and then I have icons inside my assets. Inside icons, I have just one image available. Okay, cool. So this is my website YAML file. These are all the packages I'm using. I hope it's clear. Now let's just collapse all of them. Okay, cool. Now I will go inside my lib folder. I have a main.dart file. Inside main.dart file, likewise, like in the previous class we understood, I am again initializing widget flutters binding. Okay, and this is used for actually giving you the orientation. So system Chrome, I am calling this system Chrome, and inside that I'm accessing a method called set preferred orientation. So if you want your application to only work in portrait mode or to be only in landscape mode, then you can use this. Okay, you know that you cannot rotate your screen when you're using Instagram, right? So this is because that application guarantees that the preferred orientation for this application will be portrait up or portrait down. So in case of Instagram, it's just portrait up, right? So you have to actually initialize this when your application is getting built into your main function. So you just use the system clone. So as soon as your main function is getting injected or being executed for the first time, then you can use this using system clone set preferred orientations. All right. Then you have system UI overlay style. So what happens is if you see an application, let me just launch emulator for this. Right. So let's say I'm opening messages here. So you can see this upper bar, okay, this indicator bar. Yeah, you can use. This is just a list, okay. So if I want to actually add device orientation landscape left, then I can add, right? If I want to make it landscape right, then I can make it right. So I'm just adding the available orientation states for this particular application. Okay, so you can add likewise. If you don't want your application to be in landscape mode, then you can just emit it from here. Like I just deleted it, right? I want this application to be running only in portrait up and portrait down. That means only in portrait mode. Okay. Okay. So system UI overlay style actually allows me to give this. You can see the upper status bar here, where I can see the battery icon, I can see the Wi-Fi icon, I can see the time. This is getting filled up corresponding to the app's theme, right? And now you can see again. So this is how you set your overlay style. Okay. This overlay style for this, the color is transparent. So whatever the app color will be in the background, that will be shown there. Okay. So if I have an application which is of entirely pink color, okay, so that pink color will be shown into the background instead of this, right? So I wish I could give an example. Yeah, you can see there is a gray bar right now, and now it has become semi-transparent. Using the actually icons cannot be changed, but you can change the background of that, right? Because icon is technically coming into the device theme, and we can only deal with the theme of the application. Okay, but we do have applications which you can see there are different launchers. You download different launchers. Launchers give you the capability to change the phone entirely. So they are technically dealing with the device theme into the native code, right? So you can do that. Okay. Cool. So you understood what is set preferred orientation, and you understood what is set system UI overlay. Okay. And now we are assigning a delegate. So this delegate is actually supervising, like we have block supervisor. Okay. So this delegate sets with singleton. Someone asked about singleton concept previously. So this actually creates an instance for us. Like when you are using Firebase in your application, so you have to particularly create a reference to that, right? First Firebase instance. Likewise for block also, we are creating an instance using a simple block delegate. Then we have our run app function, and inside run app we are calling our app. Okay, cool. Now we'll go to our app dot. Now I go inside this app. Okay, this is my app.dart file. So I have put this debug show check mode banner to be false because I don't want it to be shown in debug mode at the top right corner of my screen. And the theme data primary search color is blue, and the visual density is according to the phone, like what platform I'm using. According to that, it's adapting visually. Okay. Then after home, I'm carrying myself to splash screen. So let's go inside my splash screen. Is this clear right now? Like what we are discussing currently? Okay, cool. So let's just first of all collapse this, collapse this, collapse this, collapse this, collapse this. Okay. So now we are inside our splash.dart. Okay. So we started, we were inside our main.dart. Okay. After main.dart, we came into our app. Okay. And this is here in app.dart. Okay. After app.dart, we are moving to splash screen, which is inside this, that is splash.dart. Okay. Technically, here splash is not splash screen in that manner. Okay. Splash is just a name I have given. Okay. We have no splash screen in the application as of now. So it's just something which arrives when you open up your application, the first thing. Okay. All right. Cool. So I have a stateful widget, and a stateful widget has an init state. Okay. And init state has something called timer, and we are navigating through and through, right? Okay. So I just want you to first look at the application, like what the application is about. So this is the app we are going to build. Okay. You will open the application, and this will be like the first thing you're going to see for like 3 seconds. And after that, you have a list of these all movies. Okay. And when you open like one movie, then you are going to see this, right? You're going to see like this is the poster, this is the name of the movie, and this is the bio about that movie, and this is the popularity, and this contains a list of movies which you may also like. Okay, so this is a simple movie application, and we are going to build this up. So yeah, we were on this first splash screen. You saw that image, right? That image, the mountain image which just arrived. I will show this again. Okay, so this is splash.dart. Okay, where we have this image. Okay, and we are showing this image. After this, we are being redirected to this list of movies. Okay, so I'm currently right here, and you can see I set the timer for duration seconds equals to 3 seconds. Okay, cool. And after this, I'm navigating, navigate after seconds. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm using push replacements, which means I'm currently pushing my context to some different thing. Okay, and then after push replacement, I'm going to create a route. So this create route is actually, I'm creating a route because I want to use page transition. Okay, so I'm using a page transition called slide in left, right? So you can see when I open the application, this entire UI is going to be like after this animation, this user interface will slide left. So that's what page transition is, right? So I'm transitioning my page, and I'm telling it to slide in left. Okay, and if I get any kind of error, then I'll be throwing it here. Okay, and then since I'm writing this init state, then I'll be calling support.init from my abstract class. Okay, this is just a syntax, no need to worry. Okay, after that I have a scaffold, and inside a scaffold I have a background color to be black, right? So the background color of this is black, and inside that I have a body which I'm calling up, and inside that body I have the image which I was using, and the image is situated where it's inside my assets folder, and it will be called splash. So if I go inside, then you can see here is that image. Okay, yeah, Varun. Actually the thing is I actually was thinking of something else, then I forgot to rename it, so I let it stay like that. This application currently does not have any splash screen, that's why you see that white screen. Yeah, we can remove that, absolutely. So I'm not using that package as of now. This splash screen package is not being used at all. Okay, we can use it, absolutely, right? So I had less time to actually write up this code and collaborate, so that's why I just left it out. Okay, anyway, so yeah, we can have the height. So we have the height of that particular image according to media query, and we want that to be exactly 0.8 of the actual height of that particular device's screen, right? And width to be of 0.8, right? Okay, so I hope this splash part is clear. Okay, so I will come back here again to app.dart. Sorry. Okay, cool. Now after that, what's happening is after that we are being shown this screen. Okay, and this is particularly a list of movies. Okay, so this splash was into our onboard folder, and this is inside our movie folder. So this is movie list we are dealing with currently. Okay, so this has a particular card. Onto that card or that particular container, we have a background image. Onto that background image, we have a text, and we have a popularity about that movie. and the date on which it was released, and the exact rating, the IMDb rating or some kind of rating. Okay, cool. So this is the list we are using. Okay, so I'll go at the top. Okay, and we have the block here. We are going to consume this block so that we can get all the data. All right. So before we move any further, I want you all to actually run that application. So for running that application, you have to first go to TMDB. Okay. So yeah, this is the API we're using. Okay. So you have to actually create your account on this. So you just have to hit login, and then you have to get started. For getting started, you have to actually go here, click here, and you create your username. You add your password twice, and you add your email, and after that you sign up, right? After signing up, it will ask you for a few more details. Like, this is totally free. You need not to provide any credit card or debit card details for this. No payment will be deducted, and you need not to add anything at all. Yeah, for API, Varun. Okay, so when you're done filling up all these details, you'll be able to log in, right? And when you log in, then you will be having this dashboard, right? After this dashboard, you can go to more section, and then you will go to API. Okay, then you have to go to developers.themoviedb.org. Okay, then here it is, API link. Yeah, so inside this, like, I have my API key. I have my API key right here. Okay, and I have my example API request to be here, and v4 auth available as well, read access token. Okay, so these are the different kinds of tokens you use, different kind of API keys you have. So whenever you want to access an API, you need to have, if the API is, it's being secured using an API key, then you need to have that API key. Okay, so if you open your applications, then you'll be having inside resources, you'll be having a file called config.dart. Okay, inside the config.dart, I have added all the base URL, image URL, and you just have to add your API key here. Okay, so what I will do, I will just technically copy this and I will paste this here, and I can use it. Okay, so now you guys have two options. First option is that you do this process entirely, and second option is that I'll give you the API key and you can just use it to get the data. So I think the second option is better for all of us, because creating that will be a time consuming process. So I will share my API key onto the chat. Okay. Yeah. So you guys can just copy this API key and paste it inside your config.dart and run the application, and you will be able to see the exact identical application I'm running right now. Is it fine? Then I'll be going on explaining like what's currently going on and how we are using these blocks and how we are consuming data into our model classes. Is it fine? Okay, thank you so much for the response. Cool. So when you're done, you have to actually copy your API key here and you're good to go. So this config.dart actually contains, it's a simple class, okay? It contains a image URL, like what images we are actually getting, okay? And the API key. and the base URL to actually access that API, right? So I can actually add some slash, and if I want to add or want a particular kind of data, then I'll be doing this. Okay. So this is the base URL we'll be requiring, and after it we'll be adding more required detail which we want to actually get. Yeah, Dharamveer, we were going to use that API, but I found the documentation and the visual representation for this Google Meet to be better in case of TMDB. So that's why I chose TMDB for this class. TMDB technically deals with the TV series, right? So in case of TV series, we had to handle user interface for the episodes and seasons as well. And I wanted this to be short for you all, so I just avoided TV series and I went with the movies. Okay, is it fine, Dharamveer? Yeah, yeah, TMDB is great, so it's good. And also, like in case of TV shows, there would have been an extra handling for seasons and episodes, so I had to create more user interfaces and more screens for that. So I wanted to avoid that for this short 1 hour session. That's why I went on with the movie thing. So all those who are done with copying the API key here, they must be able to run the application successfully. Okay, cool. So I hope you all are able to run it. All right. Yeah, well, it may take time. Just wait for a while. It will get completed. What's the exact specification for your machine? Okay, cool, cool. I'm on a PC right now and I have 32 GB RAM and i9 processor, so I have very fast, Anyways, so you can see there are a few folders I have, right? So in this folder, I have all the files regarding block in these two folders, right? And then I have a model. Inside model, I have this entire model, right? Cool. So you can see we created multiple models previously, right? We created a model for the person. We created a model for JSON placeholder API. Similarly, I have created this model right here. Okay. So, and in this model also, I have a from JSON method and I have another to JSON method. So actually this currently what's happening, I'm using a tool called Json To Dart. Okay. So what Json To Dart technically will do, I will give you an example. I will go to JSON placeholder. Okay. Okay, it's having a server error. JSON placeholder is having a server issue right now. Maybe they are maintaining something. Okay, not an issue. Let's use this one if this is working, right? So I'm using this API, right? I'm copying this up and I'm pasting it here. And I get this JSON response, right? Now, yesterday, like in the previous session as well, we have created multiple model classes, okay? So there is one easy method to actually generate a model class for your Flutter application. And for this, you have to just Google Json To Dart. Okay, you have to Google this Json To Dart and you'll be able to find this GitHub IO link, right? You can open it up. And now you have to paste your JSON response here. Okay, so if I paste it here, and I want my model class to be named as, let's say, a drill model. Okay, and now as soon as I click on this generate Dart, I'll be able to get the model class for myself. Yeah. So this is the model class. You can see the drill model and user ID Okay, integer, like all the properties are present, user ID, title, completed. Okay, then I have my constructor. Okay, and then I have a JSON from JSON method, and I have this to JSON method. So from JSON method technically converts your JSON object into your consumable Dart properties. Okay, and if you want to actually send some data to your, let's say you are creating an application and you want your data to be sent into JSON format again. So then you can reconvert that using to JSON method. Okay, so you have from JSON method which will convert your data. Yeah, exactly, Varun. Thank you so much, Lailesh. JSON to Dart is awesome. Also, yeah, I hope all the applications are working fine. Cool. So what I did is, for this data model, I actually got the response from the API, which API was giving to me, and I copied that entire response here to get the model class. Okay, then I copied this and I pasted it here into my VS Code. So that's what I did. Right? Is it fine? Yeah. So this is the JSON response I'm getting in this case, right? So let me just first install JSON previewer. Okay, so this is the response I'm actually getting from by shooting TMDB API. Okay, but I want to generate a model class out of it. So what I will do is I will copy this code, Control C. I will come back to JSON to Dart here, and I will paste this, and I will name this class as movie model, and I will generate it. Okay, so now you can see it has instantly generated all the required things for me. Okay, so this API gives me IMDb rating, popularity, poster path, status, tagline, video, vote average, vote count, whether it's of adult type or not. So it's a bool type, you can see. So JSON has multiple types, right? So that's why it takes string dynamic, right? So bool, string, null, integer, right? And similarly, we have the constructor for this entire class, and we have a from JSON method, and we have a to JSON method. Okay, and you can see it has multiple lists as well. So you can see there's a list called genres. Okay, so for genres, we have another class, right? We have ID and we have name of the genre. We have constructor for that as well, and we have a from JSON method for this and a to JSON method for this. So you can see the uniformity we have. Okay, so this is the basic use case and the basic, you know, good thing about creating a model classes, so you can consume and use them easily. Similarly, you have production companies list. If I scroll up, I will be able to see a list of production companies. Yeah, here, production companies, and spoken languages. Okay, production companies, spoken languages. And inside that, I have from JSON, I have to JSON, I have the constructor, and I have the properties. Okay, so I hope this is very easy to understand, like how my model classes are being generated here. I'm just copying my code and naming my class, and it's taking the name to be movie model because I named it here, and it has all the properties. And if there is some kind of list available, then it's creating another class model for that. So is it easy? Is it fine right now? Okay, cool. So that's how I generated this movie data model class, right? So this is just the way I generated it. I have a list of results. Okay, so if I search for results, I should be able to find another class called results. Okay, so I have results here, and I have all the properties, all the constructors. Okay, and I have from JSON method. I have to JSON method. That's all. Okay. So currently, what I'm doing is I am using API of the trending movies of this week, right? So you can see all the latest movies are available in this application. You can see Godzilla, it was released recently, and Mortal Kombat, right? All the movies which are going to be released or have been released, or Justice League Snyder Cut was released. recently, right? So all these movies are present here. So these are the trending movies of particular week in the world, right? Cool. So inside our model folder, we had our model movie data, and we have totally explored this part, right? So now let's just collapse this and expand something else. Okay, let's go inside resources. So resources contains of two things. One is API folder and second is repository.dart. Okay, so repository.dart is currently a class. It's technically a class. Okay, inside this class, I am calling another class called API base helper, and I'm creating an instance of it. Okay, called helper. Then I am creating a base URL and an API key. All right, cool. Now what I'm doing is I am actually writing a constructor for this, a basic method. Okay, inside base URL, I'm calling something from API config.base URL and API config.api key. Right? From where I'm calling this? I'm calling this from this config file in which you people just edited your API key. Right? You wrote your API key right here. Okay, so this is app config, and I am calling app.config.base URL and app.config.api key, right? Is it correct? Is it fine? Like what I'm doing here? So this is a repository. Now I have a get movie list function. Okay, it's a method inside. If it's written inside class, it's a method. Okay, and it's of future type. And what it's returning? It's returning to me the movie data model, which we created here. Okay, we created movie data model inside our model folder, right? And I am returning it into my repository. Okay, then I'm getting a response. So what technically going on here is I am getting this response and I'm concatenating my base URL with trending movies of this week. And then I'm attaching my API key and a page number of that particular result. Okay, let me just tell this you again. Okay, I want to get a response and I want that response to be given out to my model class. Okay, my API से response मांग रहा हूँ and I want that response to be populated into my model, the movie data model. Okay, so I just concatenate my base URL, and my base URL is here, right? My base URL is here. Okay, and then I am going to trending movie week, then API key. I'm entering my API key here. Okay, after that I'm adding a page number. So if I go to TMDB documentation, you can see if I want to query something, let's say this example API is example request is actually fetching a movie with the ID 550, and you can see I have to add an API key in front of it, right? So that's what technically I'm doing. I want to fetch my trending movies, right? So to actually go to this, I will search for. You can see there is a get function for getting trending movies, right? So I can just type trending. I have typed trending. Now media type is what? Media type is movie. You can see media type are available here. So it can be a movie, it can be a TV, it can be a person. So person I will be fetching when I want to fetch the cast of a movie. Okay. So if I talk about Avengers Infinity War, right? So the cast will contain what? Robert Downey Jr. Okay. And some more people like that. Cool. Okay. So media type has to be written here. So in my case, media type is movie. So I'll just write movie right here. Okay. And then I have to type the time window. So time window, there are two kind of time windows. First is of day, view the trending list of the current day, or view the trending list of the week. So I want it to be of the current week. Okay. So that's what I wrote. After that, I'm concatenating my API key. Okay, this API key will be fetched from here. And then I want the page number for that. Okay. So what is page number? So what happens is when you're fetching your data from a certain API, so that API is going to return to you a lot of things. Okay, a lot of data, right? And so there's a concept involved called pagination. Okay, so what the pagination means? Let's say you have an API which is giving out to you the list of all the COVID patients. So imagine if that API returns to you a list of 1 million people. So what will happen? First of all, the GPU of your mobile phone will get stuck. Okay. So there are different components of a particular phone which we deal with. Okay. One is CPU, one is GPU, and one is the RAM involved, right? So RAM is technically the volatile memory of your phone. Okay. And similarly, GPU is something which deals with the graphical processing part of your phone. Okay. So if I'm going to, instantly call a lot of results to your phone, so your CPU will get affected first of all. Okay, because that data has to stay somewhere. Those 1 million results has to actually stay inside your volatile memory. Okay. Secondly, your GPU may also get affected because that amount of instant data has to be shown on a particular web page. So even your web page may crash and your application may crash as well. Also, if you want to see just one result and you fetch 1 million results for that, so that's technically useless on the part of the company. Okay. So every request has some data attached to it, has some entropy attached to it. So you can imagine pushing 1 million entry points into in form of data. It's a very hefty task. Okay. The server may expect a lot of load. If it's for one person, it may be fine, but imagine sending out this data for thousands of people multiplied by 1 million. So it's going to be so much load on that particular server, right? So if you go to google.com, okay, and I search for cat, okay, so we can also see Google at the end of the page. Google gives me the functionality to go onto all these pages. Okay, Google Google is not expecting you to actually fetch all the results. Okay, it just wants to see you a set of results, and if you want something else, then you have to actually go to another page, right? So if I go at the top, you can see there are so many results. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 unit or 10 places. Okay, so imagine if I fetch them all at once, what's going to happen? This particular Chrome tab, which I'm using currently, it will get affected a lot. The memory of this tab will actually be so high. If you go to Task Manager, okay, and you go inside Google Chrome, you can see every tab consumes some amount of energy, some amount of CPU processing. So you can see this Chrome exactly is consuming 2.8% of the entire CPU load. And inside this, every tab is consuming some different amount of energy. Okay, some different amount of CPU processing. So this, imagine if I call 1 million results on this, so the memory usage will increase instantly. Okay, your GPU will also get heated, and obviously your memory will also get affected. So you can see Chrome is consuming about 1 GB of my data on my memory. Okay, so that's how it works. So you don't want that much amount of data to be shot at you instantly. So that's why there is something called pagination. So in our application, if you look at this, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I scroll down, you can see a circular loader is being shown here. Okay, you can see it again happening. Okay, so what's happening currently is I am able to show you a lot of results, but I am putting a check that as soon as user scrolls at the end, okay, then I am fetching few more results for user. Okay, so that's what currently is happening here. I am using pagination so that I do not want the application to experience a lot of data all at once. Is this point clear? Like why we need pagination? Is this clear? Because this is very important for any company, any application, any software you're using, because this makes your application experience very seamless and very scalable. So this is a very important concept. Similarly, if it's website or it's an application, if we are getting responses, then we are actually generating these many widgets. So if I'm getting one data point, then I'm for that one particular data point, I'm actually generating this entire UI card. Okay, I'm actually populating this new widget. So more is the data coming into my application, then more will be the widgets generated. So imagine getting a data of 1 million movies. So instantly this application has to create 1 million cards. So it may happen that your application will just hang or crash. Okay. And we don't want that. We want the experience to be seamless. Okay. That's what Instagram does. Okay. So you may know that if you keep on scrolling Instagram, you keep on getting posts and it's an endless process. So what happens is, whenever you scroll from this to here to here to here to here, Instagram looks at the position of your scroll view. Okay, so this is the position of my scroll view at the end of the screen, and Instagram just looks when you're reaching to the lower part of the scroll view, and Instagram will again hit the API to get the data from another page. Okay, so that's what Instagram does. So that's why you're able to see that infinite list of posts. But Google is not doing this because Google wants it to be, in user's hand to fetch the data, because Google knows that users are using this google.com from 240 to 360 screen sizes phones as well. Okay. Okay, not an issue, Sachin. So that's what Google does, and that's what Instagram does. Similarly, TikTok does it as well. Okay, it fetches you a set of videos, and when you are at the second last or third last video, they shoot you another set of videos for that. Okay, so I hope pagination is clear to you all. Now let's go inside our application. Yeah, so inside this get, we are getting page number. Okay, and we will see how we are updating this page number in later course. Okay, so we are returning a movie data model, and we are converting the entire API response from JSON into a format which is usable for our movie data, the movie data model. Okay, so I am just saying one thing once, twice, thrice. You should not get confused. Okay, you have already understood it. Okay, now there are two things called API base helper and API exception. We create these two files in any application which deals with internet. We always have to create these two files. Okay, what these two files do is, this base helper class actually looks at the response status code. Okay, we understood like what's 200 code is in the previous days. Okay, so 200 actually tells us that everything happened correctly. Okay, and 201 actually lets us know that the data has been created. So in these two cases, I am actually decoding my JSON body, and I want my data to be saved into my JSON. But in the other cases, let's say if it's error 400 or 401 or 403, in these cases, I don't want to create data. Okay, I don't want to actually populate my JSON response or my class data model, because these are technically errors. So if I get this error, then I'm going to throw an exception, and I'm going to let this know that, yeah, this is the exception and this is exactly what's happening. Okay. If there is an internet issue, then you will get this error occurred while communication with server, and the status code is this. Okay, so this is the use of API base helper class. So it's simply a class. Okay, it gives you the header of the API, like we yesterday discussed what's the content type of the API. So in this case also we have application slash JSON, and the character set is UTF-8, and this is the content type key. Okay, and we have a var response JSON. Okay, and we are then putting it in a try catch block. So we are just awaiting to get the response from our URL. Okay, so you can see API base helper dot get was used somewhere here. Yeah, here you can see helper, API base helper is being instantiated here in form of a class instance, right? And then after that, I'm just using it. So I'm just using await helper. Inside helper, I'm using a get function. Okay, if I go inside base helper, you can see I have a get function, and then I am passing some header. So header actually lets me know about the config of the response I'm getting. Okay, and after that I am using HTTP. We already saw how to get HTTP responses. We already saw, right? So you can see I'm importing file HTTP as HTTP, and I'm using HTTP.get, and I'm passing my headers. So this is also a way that you can pass your headers, and after that you're responding that exactly the response into the response JSON. And if there's some kind of error, then it will be caught here inside the catch block. Okay, then I'm returning this response JSON out of this API base or out of this actually the get function. Okay, so the response JSON is then checked. Okay, if the response JSON had a status code, if response had a status code of 200, so this is actually switch case. Okay, switch you might have seen, right, in C++, right? So that's how we write switch cases, and we are comparing it against error codes. So if error code 200 is fine, then we are going to process that JSON, and we are going to decode it. Similarly, in case of 201, but in case of 400, 401, 403, we are not going to do that. Why? because these errors technically mean that there is some error from the server side, or the user is offline, or some other issue. Okay. Yeah, so these are all the status codes you can see. Okay, so 200 is okay, 201 is created, 40 means bad request, 400, sorry. So 400 means bad request, 401 means unauthorized, okay, 403 means forbidden, and 50 means internal server error. So whenever we are going to encounter these kind of things, then we are going to show an error. So that's why we write this base helper class for our API, okay. Similarly, there's an exception class. So what we currently wrote there, we are going to shoot out in form of string using API exception, okay. Is it fine? So that's why we have imported it here, okay, and we can use it. So these two work hand in hand. These could have been written into one single file as well, but we wanted to maintain modularity. That's why we created these two files. Is it fine? So I have this cool. Now inside config.dart, you already saw that we were entering our base URL, our image URL, API key, and the base URL. Everything comes out here. Okay. In repository.dart, we are creating our base URL for fetching our trending movies. Okay. Cool. And we add page number for pagination part. Okay. Cool. Now let's come to something called blocks. So this is the block for our movie data. Okay. So block currently is a middleware which acts between our API response and data to be shown into our application for a UI part. Okay. It acts as a middleware for us. So what we are doing is first we are creating an instance of a repository. Okay. And I'm creating a movie list of type results. Okay. Then we discussed yesterday what streams are. Streams allow us continuous data form in form of streams. So we have two things available in that. One is stream and one is sync. Okay. So you sync your data into something and you stream out it. And when you stream something out, you can actually listen to them using listen function. Okay, listen method. Okay. So the syntax is very simple. I create a stream controller of what? Of type results. Okay. And results is what? It's technically a movie list. Okay. So stream controller type of list of all the movies. Okay. I name this controller as suggestion controller and stream controller. Okay. And then I am using a getter. So what getter will do, you can see these are all underscores, which means these are private to this particular class. But when I use this getter, so this getter is actually exposing this to all the other use cases in the application. Okay, so I can use it anywhere I want. Okay, now I have a get movie list function, and it takes an input of page number. Okay, and it's of integer type because obviously pages will be of type integer, and it's an async await based function because we want something to be waited until something arrives. Okay, and I'm putting this under try catch block, and I'm calling my movie data model, which I have it saved into my models folder. Okay, and I'm getting all movie list response, and I'm awaiting for that response based upon the page number, and then I'm adding all of the data in the response into my results list. Okay. Okay, all of the movie data is going into results. Okay, cool. Then I have this suggestion controller and I'm syncing that data. Sync.add. Yesterday we discussed sync.add, right? I'm syncing all of this into my movie list. And here is my movie list. Okay, which is of type results. So whatever I get of type results, I'm syncing it inside my movie list. All right. And this movie list contains all the data which is being populated from the API response. Is it clear? Is it clear? And there is one more thing we are doing. We are disposing that stream. So yesterday you saw when I was done experimenting with one string and I wanted some change to happen, then there were two streams running. Okay. There were two streams running and we don't want that to happen in our application because if there are streams running without any listeners, then we are going to face something called memory leak. Okay. So memory leak will technically occupy our system thread and it's going to affect our processing. Okay. So that's why we don't want to have any memory leaks because of unused streams. That's why it's always a good practice to always dispose your streams. Okay, is it clear? And similarly, to dispose this out, I always make sure, because sometimes what happens when coders or developers write their codes, they often forget to write dispose for this. Okay, so that's why I have it written outside into block base. So what block base technically is an abstract class with just this method, which is going to dispose whatever it gets. Okay, this is just the syntax. Okay, you can do it here or there. It's just a way to write things. Okay, then there is block provider. So block provider is actually it's an inherited widget. Okay, so which just allows you to, now it has a function called update should notify. So if there is something updated, so in what happens, what's inherited widget in Flutter is it allows you to actually access anything in the current widget tree. Okay, anything upwards. Okay, cool. So that's why if there's something updated, so inherited widget actually just tells the old widget and returns a value true. Okay, so update should notify, and when it's done, it should return as true. Okay, because that's what you're worried about. If there is no update, then there is no actually use for that, right? Okay, now we have static. So whenever I use static inside a class, I totally mean that I want this data to be totally exposed and anyone can access it, right? So all movie block of current build context, and if it depends inherited widget type of exact type, then as movie block should be overlaid to block. So this thing, what it's doing is our block is actually getting some widgets. Okay, there's a case that when you're developing an application and you're getting some updates onto your widgets. So this provider, block provider, actually makes sure, like, whatever it's happening, we are listening to all the changes. Based upon those changes, we are updating our block. Okay, is it cool? So if you don't get it fully, you will technically get it, because first time I was learning block pattern. Okay, I was learning state management. I was also not able to get it until I experimented with it. Okay, so you have to make sure that you have to experiment, because after experimenting only you'll be able to understand like how beautifully it is created, how beautifully we are managing states, how in a genius manner we are technically dealing with streams, and how we are getting data from the API response and how we are using it in the application. Okay, so this was block, and this entire thing, streams, blocks, state management, stateful widgets, these all come under reactive programming. Okay, okay, now we have model we already discussed. Inside resources, we already discussed all these three files and repository.dart. Okay, now I'll be going inside my UI, user interface. Okay, before I go into that, I have utils. Utils technically contains the paste transition. This is actually for the package which I'm using. Okay, I'm using Flutter paste transition package. So for that, I have created these routes so that I'm easily able to add any animation I want. So you can see in my case, it was type left, ease in. So there are different methods available for that. Okay, so this is just for that package specific part, right? And I have a constants. So when you're developing an application, there is something you create called constants or utils.dart. Okay, so what it contains is it contains all the things which you want to be used constantly. Let's say you are creating WhatsApp. Okay, so WhatsApp has a different kind of color. It is not technically perfect green. It is of some hex value code. Okay, some hex value color. So whenever you want to use that color into your application, you will not be writing colors, color 0x00 hash, something like that. Okay, it's better to always store that color inside this. Okay, so let's say I want to store my color, and okay, so since it's a WhatsApp color, it will be of color type. Okay, and I want it to be color. I will just go to Google and see what's the hex color code for WhatsApp. Okay, so you can see I am being shown this result that hex color is 075E4. Okay, so I will type here 0xFF paste. So this is technically the color for WhatsApp. And you can see I am being shown this small rectangle here, which technically tells me that yes, this is the color I want to use. So this constant.dart file actually allows me to use this color anywhere I want. So if I want to change my color, let's say I want my color inside, I'll actually show you like, so that's technically the use of constant.dart. You want something to be reused again and again, and it's only specific to your theme of the application or particular font. Okay. So for that purpose, you need constant.dart. You can see I'm using this font called Impact. I'm using font called Montserrat. Whenever I want to use, I just write it up. Okay. And inside constants, I'm using something called Toast. So in Flutter or in any native application for any phone, so we have something called Toast. So Toast are these instant messages which just arrive superficially over the top on your screen. Okay. And these stay for like 1 to 2 seconds, right? So for that part, I want my Toast to be available everywhere in the application wherever I'm using. So that's why I'm writing it in Toast, because in form of Toast only I'm showing my errors. Okay. Similarly, I have custom progress indicator bar, which is the circular thing which keeps on rotating at the bottom. If I scroll it down, you can see this red thing which just arrived. It was circular progress indicator. So for that also I'm using this. Okay. I'm using SpinKit ring for that. SpinKit is another package which I just imported into package.yaml, object.yaml. You can see this Flutter SpinKit. Okay. And from there only I'm getting this SpinKit ring. Okay. Flutter SpinKit src ring.dart. All right. And it's of red color. Its size is 36, line width is 3, duration of 1 second, which means it takes one rotation and completes that one rotation in 1 second. Okay. All right. Then I have movie rating, which will be seen. I have a divider. I'll let you know like what this movie rating is. Okay. I have a divider. So divider is nothing. It's a container with thickness of 0.5 and a red color. Okay. You can see this divider right here. You can see this line, right? This red color line is present. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. I'll zoom it up. Okay, this red color line. So this red color line is technically divider. Okay, and it's of thickness 0.5 and color is red. Okay, so this is a duration format because my API is giving me duration in form of seconds. Okay, so I'm just taking those seconds and I'm converting those seconds into minutes and then into hours. Okay, so if I go over here, okay, you can see it is 2 hour 1 minute, right? 2 hour 1 minute. So what I'm doing currently is I'm using this function. This function is technically taking seconds from our API, okay, and it's converting into format of 2 hour and 30 minutes and something like that, so that I can show it here. Okay, so my API is giving me the duration of the movie in form of seconds. So I want it to be converted. So that's why I've written this format duration in this format into my constant.dart, because it will be used again and again, right? So yeah, I hope this is clear. Utils part, what is inside utils and why to create routes and constant.dart. Is it fine? Okay. Now we have a folder called widgets. So inside widgets, I will be writing those widgets which I'll be using again and again. So there is something called delayed reveal. Delayed reveal is an animation scheme which just delays your arrival of some widgets. Okay. So you can see if I just zoom it out and I go back, you can see these images come with a certain kind of delay, which looks like an animation to me, right? See it again. Okay, there's a delay in which this image appears. So this is technically being handled from this widget called delay.reveal. Okay, so delay.reveal is just a stateful widget. It takes duration. It has a child. Okay, and this is a constructor of the particular. Okay, and then we are just asserting it. Okay, so these are just few concepts related to animation, and you can take a deeper look on animation. Animation is a very vast concept to cover, and Flutter offers very beautiful animation at 60 FPS. So 60 FPS is what the games use these days. COD, Modern Warfare, games like that, right? Okay, so that's inside delayed reveal. Similarly, we have a domino reveal. So what's a domino reveal? If I scroll it down, you can see these images appear in form of a domino falling. Okay, Can you notice it? It comes like two likewise, like in this manner, right? So this animation is domino reveal. Similarly, we have widget.error. This technically contains error messages and retry button. Let's say if your internet goes away in between. Actually, I've not handled the internet part, but I was trying to use it, but I was short on time, so I did not use it. So retry button will actually do the same. Okay. So you have build context, you have a center. So if you find an error, then you'll be redirected to this page on error page. Okay. So you can use these widget for errors. You can use retry button and you can use error. So error just contains a text format which contains an error message. Okay, and these are all the properties: color, font size, font family, right? So this is inside widget.dart. Okay, so we are done exploring widgets. We are done exploring utils. We are done exploring resources, models, block provider, block. Now there's only one thing left, that is UI. Okay, so on board also we have discussed splash.dart. We discussed, right? Now we'll be coming into movie. So now movie has 3 pages, actually 2 pages, but we have distributed it into 3. Okay. So first is this movie detail page. I will just put them side by side. Okay. So this is our movie detail page. Okay. So I will come to movie detail page here, and I will just, yeah. So we have results. So these are the results which we are getting. Okay. We are getting it from where? We are getting it from a model.moviedata.dart. Okay. Because if you go inside this, then you'll be able to find this another class called results, because results is what? Results is a list. Okay. You can see results is a list. So for that also we have another results class. Inside this we have all the strings, all the data required. Okay. So I will just close this. Now I am back to my movie detail.dart. Okay. And now I have another thing called related list. So I want related list because I want this list to be shown at the bottom. So this is my related list. Okay. Under you may also like, this is my related list. Okay. And result list, I'm fetching my movie from that particular list. Okay. And this is a constructor for that. Okay. And this is the init state, like a basic init state. Okay. Now there's something called will pop callback. Okay. So what happens? There are a few applications when you want to go back on them, they say that you cannot exit current page. Okay. So that kind of behavior is called behavior we expect on will pop scope. I'm not audible. Hello. Hello. Am I audible right now, Lailesh? Okay, thank you so much for the responses. Okay, so on will pop actually handles issues when a person is pressing back. Okay, so there was this quiz. I don't know how many of you have played it. Actually, in any game you play on Android, there's an option when you press back, they give you an option like you cannot exit this page, you don't want to exit this page. So that kind of behavior actually handled into a widget called on will pop. Okay, so on will pop, you can see on will pop has a named parameter called on will pop. Here you can write anything you want to do. So in this case, there's a function which is just popping current context. Okay, so if I press back, so the current context, which means the current page, just got dissolved. Okay, so that's what pop scope means. You can do the same thing using the back button at the top on the leftmost part. Okay, left top part. Okay, but there's one more thing, on will pop. Okay, so people generally use on will pop when they want ads to be shown. Okay, so you can see there are some times that you are being shown an ad on some kind of application, but even if you press back, you're not able to go back. You are just allowed to stay there until that app gets completed, or there's a skip button available. So that kind of thing can be done with using on will pop scope. Okay, so you can actually add that check. So there is the function. so which is just popping the current context. Okay, then we have a scaffold, and the scaffold's color is black. You can see the black color here, right? Okay, now we have something called stack. So stack are these layered widgets. Okay, and so when you use a stack widget, you can layer different things. Okay, so I have a background poster. This background poster is present here. Suicide Squad background poster. Above that, I have this movie data. Okay, this is my movie data. This is my movie data, and this is my background poster. Okay, so this movie data is at the back, and movie background poster is at the back, and movie data is at here. If I just change their sequences now, if I just copy this above movie data, then all this will just get, you won't be able to see this. So stack works on the way like the thing which is written at the end will show at the top. Okay, cool. Now, I have just these two things. I have a background poster. I have a movie data widget. Okay, and I'm passing my widget.movie and I'm passing my widget.movie. And here is my movie technically. Okay. Okay. Now inside background poster, I am doing what? I am using a widget called positioned. Positioned will do what? It will put my coordinates to be at the center at the top part. Okay. So when I use position top right left zero bottom, I'm technically projecting it to occupy my entire screen and starting from the top like here. Okay. And there's a hero animation. Hero animation actually just it gives us a parameter that everything inside will be so the tag is movie ID. Okay, so it has a particular tag, it has a container, and the container has a height in form of media query. Absolutely. So I'm using something called screen size. So screen size is also created inside my constants. And what is screen size technically? Screen size is media query. Okay. Okay. Screen size dot context height 0.85. Okay. Then I'm using cache network images, which will show me something like the black background or some placeholder text or image which you want to show. Okay. Then you can see here in this placeholder, there's a container being shown of gray color. If I change the color to green, you can see there's a gray color container being shown everywhere. So this is what cache network image does. It gives you a functionality to show your placeholder. Okay, like when you remove your WhatsApp DP or WhatsApp profile picture, then you are able to see this gray colored person, right? So that's what we call a placeholder. Okay, or when you are entering some data into a text box and you are being shown enter your name here, so that thing is a placeholder into the text box. Okay, similarly in this case, if the image has not arrived from the particular URL, then you are going to show a placeholder, and the placeholder will be a container of color gray. Okay, then we have an image URL, and we are fetching our image URL again from that API config file. Okay, and we are concatenating it with a movie poster path. Okay, poster path is what we are getting from the API itself. Okay, and it has a fit type of boxfit.cover, which means it's covering entirely the possible space it has. Okay, cool. Now we come to movie data. So this is movie data. This entire black kind of box in which we have all the data present, we call it movie data. Inside movie data, we have something called single child scroll view, which we have already used. So we have it scrollable. So it's called single child scroll view, and it has a physics. This physics is called bouncing scroll physics. Why it's called bouncing scroll physics? Because if I try to put it upwards now and I remove it, you can see it's bouncing again and again. So this is the kind of physics you can add with scroll views. Okay, so this is called bouncing scroll physics. Okay, now it has a child. Inside child we have a container, and container we have a decoration. Inside decoration we have a gradient. So you can see this black thing is looking like a gradient over this upper poster. Okay, so why is this happening? Because of the colors we are using. We are using transparent, and we are using black, and we are using a linear gradient with these many stops. Stops are technically the parameters which allow you to define two, limits between which you want your gradient to be seen. Okay, so these are stops, and you want to start your gradient from top center, and end at bottom center. Okay, so this is our container. This is this is our gradient. Okay, now the width of this will be screen size dot width. Now I'm using a clip rect. Clip rect actually gives us functionality to add a border radius and you can say backdrop filter. So backdrop filter is what we're using here. Okay, so here we have a what? We have a gradient present and a backdrop filter inside clip rect. So what we are doing is we are blurring. Okay, cool. Now we have all the widgets present here. Okay, so I come inside and I create a column. Column is a vertical alignment. Okay, now inside I have a size box. Size box is technically a random space. Okay, okay. Uh, can you all create navigation buttons to be overridden? I'm not sure, but it's against the rules of any app you develop. So I will not suggest that you can override them. I'm not sure. I actually haven't tried them. So I think someone should try and let me know. Also, Sarai usually has hash size error when I use expanded widget in single child scroll view. Yeah, this is because your single child scroll view like should have some widget, right? So you should actually define a size to that. Okay, if you have a container, then you have to give the size to that container. Or your single child scroll view is something like it has some content outside, so you have to give it some dimension. If you will not give dimension, you will get this hash size error. Okay, you have to give some dimension to the widgets. All right, cool. Now we have the first widget, which is TMDB originals. So you can see there's a text written here at the top. It's called TMDB originals here, right? So this technically, this widget contains what? This widget contains TMDB originals. Okay, cool. Now we have another size box. So this size box is technically the space between this text and aquaman. Okay. Now we have content title. So this is our content title. Okay. After that, we have specification. Specification means movie original language and movie vote average. Okay. Cool. If I tap on specification, I'll be able to see there's a row. Okay. So there's duration. So duration is 2 hours 1 minute. And there is lang, which is language, which is English. Then we have movie rating. Inside movie rating, now we have again arrived to constant or dart. Okay. I wanted it to be inside this movie rating because why I put this inside constants? Because I want this movie rating to be available outside on this list as well. Okay. So that's why I created it inside my constants because I'm using this widget more than once. So that's why it's a good practice to keep this inside my widgets. So movie rating technically contains the rating of the movie. You can see TBR is written here, TBR is written here, and it's then we have our TBR rating and we're converting into a string. Okay, is it simple? Is it fine? Now we come back to movie rating. Now we have years and genre. Okay, when we come here, I have year and genre. So in what year it was released, I have the year and I have the genre. Okay, and I'm separating it by a dot, a simple dot. Okay, it's a UTF code of a dot. Okay, and this is the font family. Now I have a play button, but this play button is not working, so I am leaving this null. Okay, I am not entering any function call on here, so it's just empty. Okay, now I have a container. Inside this container I have watch now button. Okay, it has a height, it has a color red. Watch now button. Okay, cool. Now I come up. Now I have a divider. This red color line is a divider. Then I have a size box. Then I have a play button. This play button is right here. Okay. Then I have another size box. I have content description, content desk. Okay. If I go inside this, I will be able to find a text with the description. Okay. Rest all the things are parameters and styling. All right. After this content description, I have popularity. So this popularity is technically the amount of votes I'm getting. So if you go to the TMDB API documentation, you will be actually able to find popularity. Okay, so popularity is technically the number of votes for the day, number of views for the day. Okay, so this is technically the popularity here. You can see 69.852. I think it's not point, it's comma, I guess. Okay. Also vote count. So this is the vote count for this particular movie. So if I come here, I get the vote count, then I get the widget, then I get related list. Okay. You may also like list. So this is here. You may also like. Cool. So you may also like and related list. You may also like is the text. Okay. This is a simple text. You may also like. And after that, we have the size box. Okay, so are we guys okay? Are we able to understand? So this is the entire user interface for the movie page. Okay, are we comfortable? Now I'm really sorry that we are again late on time. Now I will come to movie detail. Now I will come to movie list. Okay, so movie list is here. Okay, so again, we are having a block. This block is actually allowing us to consume data. Okay, then we have a page number defined. You notice we discussed pagination. So we wanted a page number for that, right? So now we are defining our page number and we have something called scroll controller. So I told you about how Instagram tracks our scrolling, right? Similarly, if when I'm going to scroll this list, okay, I should be able to listen like where the scroll is present, where my current scroll is present. So let's say in this page, I have my scroll bar right here, okay? So I am tracking my scroll bar's current position. To scroll or to track my current position, I need something called scroll controller. Okay, so that's why I create an instance of it, like here is scroll controller, and I create a variable page number. Then I assign an init state function. Okay, inside init state function, I will write and assign my page number value to be 1. Okay, is this clear? After that, I will call my all movie block and get the movie list based upon this page number, which is defined as 1. Okay, after that, I will declare a controller. Okay, I mean, I already have the controller. And what I will do is I will check scroll controller and I will add a listener to this scroll controller. Okay. Is this clear? Okay. Okay. At time, in this case, Dharamveer, the size is, I think, 50 or 100. Okay. Because I kept on changing because I was trying scroll view controller. So I'm not sure, but we'll check. Okay. Anyways. So, yeah. Now we are just abstracting it using super.initState. So the initState function will be the first function which will get initialized as soon as you enter into the current context of the widget, okay, which is a stateful widget movie list. Okay. Now I have a scroll listener function. So what this scroll listener function will do, okay, we are adding listener and we are passing this scroll listener method. Okay. So what it's doing is, now you have to understand it carefully. Okay, what we are doing. We are doing if controller.position.pixels equal to controller.position.max scroll extent. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm checking whether my controller position pixel. Okay, I am not able to see my scroll bar here. Like I'm able to see my scroll bar here, right? But in this case, I'm not able to see. Okay, so I'm just checking whether that virtual controller pixel position is exactly equal to the max scroll length of my device, which means let's imagine I have a controller here at the top. Okay, and if I scroll my result, now it has come here. I scroll again, it has come here. I scroll again, it has come here. I scroll again, now it has come here. Okay, as soon as it arrives here, I have a listener added. Okay, and what that listener is doing, it is calling my scroll listener, and when it's equal to that position, then I am increasing my page count. Can you see? Now I have first I'm increasing, then I am actually sending it over here. Okay, so plus page number. So now page 2 will be fetched right after this. Are you guys able to understand like what I did right here? Because this is very important. That's how pagination is working right now. Okay, so I'm checking for my control position pixels and I'm just equalizing them if it's equal to the max scroll extent of my screen. If it's equal, then I'm incrementing my page count. Okay, and this page count will get incremented and it's written inside init state, so it will instantly update the state of my application, which means it will fetch another 50 results for me, another 50 movies for me. Okay, so this is how pagination is working right now. Okay, now I have a dispose, so it's always a good practice to always dispose your init states or your streams. Similarly, I'm disposing them, okay, because sometimes developers do forget doing this. Okay, now I come inside my scaffold. Inside my scaffold, I have something called stream builder. We saw what are future builders, and if you want to exactly consume your streams, then you have to create stream builders for that. Okay, so I have a stream builder, and I have a particular stream which is coming from my all movie block and all movie stream. Okay, so this is just a syntax for that. I have actually defined it. Okay, this is my all movie block. All right, now I come here. Now I'm building it. Okay, so where I'm building for the current context, and I'm getting a snapshot. It's a sync snapshot of what? Of results. And those results are in form of a list. Okay, and we call it snapshot. All right, if my snapshot has a data, then I will add return a widget called scroll configuration, which just gives me a functionality to let me know like how my scroll is behaving. Okay, so by this only I'm technically able to learn where my scroll bar is currently, right? Then what's the behavior of this configuration? So the behavior is scroll behavior. Okay, now I have a child and it's called glowing over scroll indicator. So it's a visual indication that a scroll view has over scrolled. Okay, so this thing, that controller is technically able to see the controller virtually, and it's comparing whether it has reached to the end or not. If it has reached to the end, then it will fetch so much. Yeah, Varun, it's not that much to understand, but I'm just explaining again and again, so that's why you might get confused. Okay, but it's a very simple concept. Okay, now the direction is down. Okay, color is white. Listview.builder is present. Inside this, I have a controller, and I have an item count of snapshot or data length plus one. So why I am adding one here? Because when I scroll down now, there is one extra thing added, which is the circular progress indicator. Okay, so I'm adding one extra length for that. Okay, you can see this is appearing right here. So I'm adding one extra length for that particular circular progress indicator. Okay, so that's why list view builder has a count of snapshot or data or length plus one. All right, then I'm building it. Okay, so if snapshot or data length is just coming up, then show custom progress indicator, or else you have to show a padding, and inside this padding there will be domino reveal and all the movie cards. Okay, so this everything, these all rectangles are what? These all rectangles are movie cards. Okay, and they'll be generated in what? Using a domino reveal. Domino reveal is the widget which we created inside widgets. It's a way of animating cards. Okay, cool. Now, if nothing is working out, then just show custom progress indicator again. Okay, and this is a movie card. Now, movie card will have result item movie current index, which means the index of current movie. So in this case, it's Mission Impossible. So this index will again get passed to the movie detail page. Okay. All right. So yeah, after this, I have navigator.push. Okay, which is passing, and when I'm pushing it, I'm passing my index as well and related list as well. Okay, so I'm just passing it here. So I make sure that after opening this, only this will open up. So to make sure like what's happening, I have to actually pass the index of the current movie. Okay, so here I am passing it to my navigator route. Then I have a stack. I have a background card. In background card, I have movie index, movie list, and I have a gradient. So again, I'm using a gradient of what? I'm using gradient of again transparent and black color. Okay. Then there's background card. Inside box decoration, screen size, clip rect, hero, network image, size, app config, image plus URL. So image URL we already defined in config, and then we are adding more URL to that. Okay, is it fine? Then I have fade in curve as ease in. Okay, duration is 1 second, so 1000 millisecond. Okay, which means this animation takes about 1 second to get completed when the image is being fetched. Okay, so it takes like 1 second. Cool. Now you can see there are two images which we are fetching. Okay, let's take the case of Thor Ragnarok. Okay, in this is some different image, and when I open it up, there is some different image happening. Okay, just wait a second. Let's take a case of Sentinel. Okay, or let's How to Train Your Dragon. Okay, so two different images are being fetched. Okay, I think it has when I have to reload the application. Sometimes it do happen when you call a lot of movies. Okay, anyway, but you get the idea, right? Basic detail has these containers and movie popularity. So I'm getting movie popularity right here. Okay, so you can see Alien is being fetched. All right. So I have this movie title and I have the title as well. Years and genre, popularity, vote count, and likewise. So yeah, this was the movie application which I wanted you all to create. And I hope now you people understand a lot of things, not all of it, but few of the things are totally understandable, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, do let me know, like, did you understand like what's going on? Was this session useful? Did you understand new things? Did you understand what block is? Did you understand what are model classes? Did you understand? Amanpreet, actually, we are using Stream Builder because we are dealing with streams, because block is giving us a stream of data. So that's why we need to use a Stream Builder. But future will return us a future type, right? I cannot use a future builder for streams. I have to use Stream Builder. Okay, Pranav, thank you so much. So for futures, you use Future Builder. For streams, you use Stream Builders. And these are just, so builders are technically what? Builders will populate your data, okay, into widgets. So that's why you have builders. I technically always go with HTTP because when I was learning Flutter, I used HTTP for that. But retrofit is really easy to go with. I have tried it once or twice, I guess. So it's very easy to go with. Amanpreet. But I do find a lot of documentation and people on into the documentation when you're reading package codes, right? If someone has created some package in Flutter and you want to go inside that, then you'll be able to see HTTP a lot there. So I do stick to HTTP when it comes to that because I was also creating my own package. So for that also I was stuck with because it's in the core of Flutter, right? Okay, you did try. Then how was the experience? Okay, pagination was not working. Cool, not an issue. I hope you get the logic, like how we are using it. You might be stuck somewhere using the scroll controller, I guess. Yeah, I understand, totally understood. But now you know the logic and you can use and reuse it, right? Cool. So, if you guys found something interesting, do let me know. What was the most interesting thing about today? Okay, so gradient has multiple stops. Okay, so stops are technically the visual representations. Okay, so I will just technically show you, because this is something it's much easier to understand when it comes to, where can I find a particular example? So yeah, you can determine the fractions along the gradient by using stops. So let's say you want your gradient to be a little light somewhere, okay? So you can define it using stops. And I cannot explain it because it has averaging over one single decimal point, okay? So if you want to try, you can absolutely try this out. And these stops work with multiple colors, okay? So in this case, I'm using green and blue, okay? So you can just try and changing these values. Right now, I'm not under debugging mode, because for debugging the application, I'll have to add my API key, so it will be a long process. Anyway, you can try this up. You can just keep on variating these stops, and you'll be able to understand what stops technically are doing. They just tell you the fraction, the amount of color you are spilling over the edges for the particular gradient you're using. So you can try this out. So in my case, I'm using black 87, which is a semi-transparent version of black and a transparent color. Okay, so yeah, you can try this out. Pranav, I hope I solved your query. Okay, any more issues, any more understandings like what we understood today? Was it too much? Was it too less? Too less? Varun is asking, are there any websites available where we can find the list of useful material widgets? Yeah, you can simply go to Flutter's documentation. Okay, you go in there, you go to Widget Catalog. Okay, inside Widget Catalog, now search for the exact widget you want to use. Let's say I want to go inside Material Components and I want to see buttons. Okay, so if you want to go inside App Bar, then you can go to App Bar. You want to go to Drawer. You want to go to Sliver App Bar. You want to go to Tab Bar View, Tab Bar. So you just go into them, you open them up. It will explain you. As soon as you'll get the code for it as well. So you can use this code, paste it into your application, and try this up. Okay. So Flutter has an amazing widget catalog. So every widget which comes inbuilt, you can use, and you can create your custom widgets as well. Okay. You can see text. So text has default style, rich text, text. Okay. Rich text, default style, text. You can try open them up. So you can use this, or you can bold a particular part of a text using a text span. Okay, cool. Similarly, this is a documentation of Flutter itself, like default text style. Or if you want to animate, then you can use this. Okay, overflow, soft wrap, text align, text behavior. So yeah, you can try this out. So I think today's session was pretty much okay. Okay, Lailesh is asking how push notification work in application and onboarding stuff when we install app for first time. Lot of stuff to learn. Practice code review done today was great and very much understandable. Like whole development and demo pagination is interesting. First of all, thank you so much, Lailesh, that it was enlightening to you. Also, push notifications is something you can trigger from your. Let's say you're working with Firebase, right? So you can notify them using Firebase packages. You can technically send notification from here. Okay, let's say if I go to my Firebase FCM, Firebase Cloud Messaging is the way. Okay, and one more thing I would like to mention, like we were storing our API key into our application. Okay, which is not a good practice technically, because let's say in a case someone is able to reverse engineer your application, then your API key will get exposed. Okay, so it's better to always save these kind of things into your remote config part. Okay, remote config, like in Firebase we have remote config, right? So you have to save all these debug logs and small things, important things at the server side part. Okay, so that you fetch them and you change them from there itself. So let's say there are multiple modded version of Android running all over, right? So what people can, how you can avoid technically is that you can just store that particular API key for a particular person, or the access token for that particular person, or the refresh token for that particular person into your debug console, into your remote config. Okay, and you can change them. I don't know how many of you have used Spotify, but if you turn on the VPN and you log out of Spotify and then you try to re-log in, it will not ask you to enter using OTP. Okay, because OTP is something which is just implemented in India, not in other countries. Because India is least concerned about emails. You can just imagine, like in India, Indian people are just concerned about their phone numbers because that's the only thing they remember on a daily basis. If you go to a remote location, people do not have any email accounts. Okay, they have just their phone number. So that's why companies use OTP based registration in India, specifically in India. Okay, because people are not that aware about the email thing in India. So that's why they stick with OTP based logins. WhatsApp would have been a complete failure if WhatsApp did not have OTP based login, right? So you can understand the importance of OTP based logins. That's why Stripe Payment Gateway has also implemented 3D authentication. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Amanpreet. So you can imagine, right? India is a 70% population, which is still, I mean, you know, you can consider 30% of the population under the service sector, and rest of the 70% population. Among the 70% population, many don't have the basic rights available to them. So it's totally understandable, and it's very good that they are understanding this thing and making it accessible to normal people. So that's what adapting things mean. Okay. So Spotify has OTP based logins, and as soon as you switch on your VPN, you won't be shown that option for OTP. You will be told to enter your email, right? So that's how remote config works. You can subject your user interfaces based upon the location, based upon the country, based upon the change of the IPs. Okay, so that's how it works. And similarly, Lailish was asking how to use push notification in application. Yeah, absolutely, Lailish. You can trigger them using any server-side service which you're using, or using Cloud Function when it comes to Firebase or Google Cloud Console, or you can write your own Lambda functions if you're using AWS or something like that. Okay, and onboarding stuff when we install app for the first time. Yeah, onboarding technically is kind of tutorial. Okay, when you open an application, you are being shown like tap here to get these details, tap here to get these details. So it's that particular value can be stored in your shared preferences, Lailish. Okay, so if the user is creating an application for the first time, so you can trigger your on create method, okay, or on sign in method for the first time, and you can share it in your shared preferences, and you can let the user know, and the tutorial will run only one time. Okay, and after that the tutorial will not run. Okay, so that's what you can do. You can share that particular count, that integer count can be stored into your shared preferences, and you can check that if the count is 0, which means a fresh install has happened. Okay, then show the tutorial, and after the tutorial is being completed, then you can update that count to 1. Okay, so it won't be shown again and again until the user clears the data of the application or uninstalls it. I hope I answer your query, Lailish. Uh, yeah, any more reviews, any more suggestions, any more good outputs you saw today, then please do let me know, because I do need a lot of feedback. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Varun. I'm really sorry that I took a lot of time. Really sorry. So I hope we'll be ending this session right now. Okay. So thank you very much for being such a great audience. Yeah, Lailesh. Good conventions for development are, so let's say if a company asks you to create a Flutter application and the company is requiring a Flutter developer in your company, okay, So they are going to look at two things. One thing is how you name things, okay, like the naming convention, like creating these directories. Like there should be a source folder, there should be a block folder for the block code, and you can see the code has to be organized. So you can see I create these private functions or private methods. Okay, so these has to be taken care of. Also, there is one thing called linting. So linting is the process which will analyze your code and potential errors. So you can look at the Dart linting code rules. Okay. So linting rules technically contain things like that your class should always have a name starting from capital letter. Okay. Your variable should have a camel case. Okay. And package your folder names has to be done using snake cases, that is underscores. Okay. You can see it's written avoid print calls in your application, because when you leave your code written into, let's say you have your Dart code and you have print function written somewhere, okay, and you forget to erase that or remove that, and you create an application publish on Play Store, okay, so that's okay, that's fine, it will still work. But according to a good linting rule, you should always remove your print calls when you are done using it, okay. And instead of print, you can use something called log in Dart, okay, which will log you the entire content. All right. Avoid returning null for future. These are just few things which you can use, okay. Create instance for stream subscriptions. It's always important to create instances, okay. So likewise, and never write avoid throw in finally block. So these are just few linting rules, and if you're done with them, trust me, there is no company on this planet which will not hire you as a Flutter developer. So every language has these kind of linting rules. You can try them up. You can, and if you know the linting rules, then you are a good developer. You are okay to work in any kind of developer development ecosystem. Okay, whether it's Google, whether it's all the fun companies available. So it's always to keep these notes handy with yourself. Okay, cool. I have faced one issue with Android Kotlin, like when an app background for a long time, then despite the Wi-Fi connection, broadcast connection, listener returns false. Any guess? Okay, okay, cool. So you know what? There's one thing in Android, Dharamveer, which is called keep it alive. Are you aware? So let's say if you're how to keep alive a socket connection in Android 7, like this is a very common issue. So what happens? There is a particular connection which has to be established between your live link, which is being fetched from your server side, and there's one hardware side issue involved with this. Okay, so let's say you have a phone and you have put an Android application into the background. Okay, so I'm using a OnePlus, and in that OnePlus I put my application on the background and I instantly switch on my battery saver mode, or any other mode was switched on previously. Okay, so what this battery saver mode technically does is it destroys all the IO, not destroys technically, it puts them into a state where everything is just paused. Okay, so this may be the issue in your case as well. Like you might be plugged into your charging, or you had low charge in your phone, or your let's say power saving mode was on. And also there's something called on keep alive app count. Okay, so there's a thing like if you have 50 apps opened up in the background on your Android phone, then you can just keep them alive, keep 4 or 5 application on the top layer to be alive. Okay, so this might be the issue in your case, Dharamveer, but I will just check this out. I will copy this entire text and let you know. But this is the case in most of the time, like technically happens. Okay, I have saved it up. Cool. I hope I was somewhere near to your query, Ramveer, but if I'll find something like this, I'll let you know. Okay, because it's a very good point to keep your socket, socket links active in the background. So there are a lot of things, and you're going to understand it once you are going to dive into it completely, right? Yeah, Dharamveer, do try it up and let me know if you find something, because that's what I have experienced. Okay then, guys. Please stay safe and just take care. My throat is just tired a lot after speaking like 2 hours. So I think we have to take a break. Yeah, thank you so much, Pranav. Thank you so much, Dharamveer, Lailesh. Thank you so much to all the people who joined up. Thank you, Varun. Thank you, Pratibha, Pranav, Lailesh, Gopi, Dharamveer, Amanpreet. Thank you for being the constant supporters and constant learners. I really appreciate you all. Okay, sure, Dharamveer, Shubhratri. Thank you, Pratibha. Take care. Good night. Stay safe. Thank you, Lailesh. Thank you so much.